Hello, hello, fearless listeners. Are you ready for another episode of Let Fear Bounce? It's the podcast that's all about conquering challenges and facing our fears. I'm your host, Kim Langling, and each week we'll dive into inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips to help you turn your fear into your greatest ally. So sit back, relax, grab that cup of coffee, and let's discover how to make fear our bouncing board towards a life filled with endless possibilities right here on Let Fear Bounce. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. And I'm so glad that you're spending just a small part of your day with myself. And hey, my special guest today is myself. So I'm rolling solo today, folks. I wanted to share something with all of you. Since, the name of the podcast is Let Fear Bounce, I wanted to share a little story with you, a little something. And I'm kind of titling it today, Faith Over Fear and Nuggets of Hope. So let's just get started. And again, folks, it's just me, your fearless host, Kim Langley. So I want to share an idea that I came up with, a couple years ago now. And it's just so simple that anybody can do it. And while you're doing it, you're potentially changing someone else's life, at least that day, or maybe just that moment. But you also might be changing part of your own life. So a couple of years ago, I had this word hope. It was showing up everywhere I looked, TV, billboards, social media. I was hearing it on the radio. Hope everywhere. And after hearing, seeing, and reading this word for several weeks, I realized that God was probably nudging me to do something with this word. But what am I supposed to do with a word? And I knew I was supposed to do something. So, arguing with myself and arguing with God about what it is he wanted me to do with this word, it really was getting me nowhere. And then I realized I was just putting too much thought into it and I was making it too complicated. So I just needed to keep it simple and just do something. Then I remembered that I had this small deck of cards with inspirational messages, the kind that say, you're awesome, you're a rock star, you're beautiful. So I put those in my purse. And as I was out and about doing my errands and such, waiting to see if something inspired me, what I'm supposed to do with these little cards. And nothing did. Nothing did. Until one day I was shopping. And I remembered that I had those little cards in my purse. And I thought, well, I know I'm supposed to do something. So I just started tucking those away into different places throughout the store. I'd tuck them into the back pocket of a pair of jeans. I tucked them in with the motor oil. I tucked them in with the candles. I tucked them in with the cookies in the grocery aisle. And I thought, okay, well, there you go. I'm tossing out little nuggets of hope. So I just placed them wherever I felt somebody might notice them. And who knows, the person that did find one, who knows how that might have changed their day. And I felt kind of good for having done that. And I'm never going to know who spotted those cards or who grabbed one of those cards and put it in their pocket or put it in their own purse. And it doesn't really matter, does it? I had tossed out a few nuggets of hope. Now that nudge to toss out nuggets of hope stayed with me. Only this time I felt that I was supposed to begin approaching people. It was very strong, that nudge. And I'm thinking, wow, that's putting myself in a position of vulnerability, isn't it? I mean, what if people think, who is this crazy woman? Or, is this some kind of creeper? Is this some kind of stalker? Then it came to me, well, what if I had actual nuggets, actual stones? So I researched a little bit and I found some really, really pretty polished stones with the word hope engraved on them. And I thought, well, isn't that perfect? So now I carry those little stones with me. And when I'm out and about, if I see someone that I feel nudged to approach, I will approach that person and calmly and kindly say, excuse me, sir or ma'am, I would like to give you a nugget of hope today. And I'll hold out my hand. And without fail, folks, without fail, everyone that I've approached over the last 2 years has held out their hand when I'm holding out mine. And I will drop that little nugget of hope in the palm of their hand. And I'll just say, I just want to give you a nugget of hope today. And once they have it in their hand, I say, I wish you a blessed day. And I turn and walk away. Now, I've had all kinds of different responses to that act. I've had simple thank yous. I've had laughter. I've had tears. I've had a few people break out into tears and give me a hug. I've had confused looks. And I've even had anger. I had one older gentleman yell at me in the middle of the store in anger, asking me what the hell was there to hope for. Now, that gentleman sticks with me. I'll be honest with you, folks. That one sticks with me. I didn't take it personal when he yelled at me because I knew it wasn't me that he was angry at. There was obviously something going on pretty big in his life. And he was older, I would say mid to late 80s. And that gentleman sticks with me. Now, whether he's still around or not, I don't know because I didn't know this man. But after that interaction, I got to my car and I cried. I did cry. I felt such despair for this gentleman and sadness because it was just oozing off of him. And I'm a very empathetic person. So for anybody out there who's empathetic like I am, you know what I'm talking about when you say you can feel and you can sense their emotions, their angst, their unhappiness, their happiness. It's sometimes it's overwhelming. And that's how I felt that day after that gentleman, my interaction with that gentleman. So I was sitting in my car and, I was like, well, I have to pray for this guy. I have to pray for this man because I don't know what he's going through. Maybe it was the first time that he had left his house in a while because he'd been very ill and he was tired and maybe he was hurting and he was frustrated because he couldn't find the dish soap. And it was just too much. We've all been there, folks, haven't we? When you just have those days where that one little thing happens and it just pushes you over the edge. It's just too much. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he's caring for a sick loved one. Maybe he's caring for his wife. Maybe she has Alzheimer's and he doesn't sleep. And it's 24/7 to be a caregiver for someone that you love. And it's very tiring and can be frustrating at times and bring you down. And you can fall into depression. Maybe that was the case. He's a caregiver and he's just tired and he knows he only has so much time to get all his errands done before he has to be back home to take care of his wife. Maybe that was it. Maybe he just lost someone. Maybe he lost his wife. I don't know what his story was, but it wasn't me he was angry at. And I'm glad that I understood that and recognized that. So I was able to sit in my car with tears streaming down my face and pray for this gentleman that I'd never met, don't know his name, but I prayed for his peace, at least a little peace to come into his day. And I also prayed that when he looked at that nugget of hope, because he did accept it, folks, he did take it and he put it in his pocket. So I'm hoping maybe later that day he pulled it out and looked at it. And maybe it spurred something. Maybe it wasn't until the next day that he looked at it. And maybe it sparked a little something in him. Who knows? When we do an act of kindness, folks, we don't know how far reaching it could be. We don't know when it might effectively work on someone. But what we do know is that we should be doing it. We should be kind because there's no reason not to be kind. Now, when I hand out these little nuggets of hope, I don't stick around to chat. Not typically. A couple times I have, but not typically. I don't feel that I'm supposed to. So, no matter what the response is, they say thank you. I get hugs, laughter, looks at me like, who are you, crazy woman? No matter what the response is, I just wish them a blessed day and then I'm on my way. And again, I have no idea what my little stone with the word hope on it might mean to someone who receives it. but the message is always the same. It's done in kindness, and the word is hope. Now, anybody can spread a nugget of hope. Anybody. It doesn't have to be a polished stone. It can be a little card. It can be a small piece of paper. It can be a smile. It can be a hug. It can be a kind word. Come up with something on your own and just see how you can make a difference in someone else's life by sharing just that little nugget of hope. Smile at a stranger. Compliment a stranger. You never know. You never know what battle someone is going through, because we all put a mask on our face before we walk out our door to start our day, don't we? Think about it. You might be sitting there thinking, no, I don't. My life's perfect. Well, if it is perfect, good for you, by golly. But I don't know a single person whose life is perfect. Life will happen. We all have stuff happen, whether it's big, small, or all those little things that happen in between. Because, with everything being said, tossing out nuggets of hope, being kind, there is going to come a point in life when we all have to face something and deal something, and fear creeps in, and we have to face our fear head on. If you're a person of faith like I am, your faith might be tested while you're in the midst of that. And recently, I went through that. My faith was tested, and I was not able to even think of, nuggets of hope or kindness, trying to inspire people. Hey, let fear bounce. You're awesome. Armor up. You're a warrior. And there I was, letting fear in. It creeped in, folks. It creeped in. And the reason was I had a health issue arise. Now, it had arisen a while ago, but I was told, hey, this is really nothing. We'll just keep an eye on it. It doesn't look like anything, so we'll keep an eye on it. And then it changed. A couple years down the road, it changed. And they said, you know what? It changed. we have to do something about this now. And doing something that turned out to be lung surgery. And when I was told that, hey, this has changed, this little nodule that you've been carrying around in your lung, and I was calling it my little peanut, had my little nugget in my lung. They said, it had grown, and that was concerning. And it was something that was in my lung that should not be there, and it needed to be removed. And hearing that, my brain kind of stopped for a minute, because I thought, oh, lung surgery. That's kind of a big deal. That's kind of a big deal, Kim. Ugh. And I wasn't fearful at that time, because I think, as many do, and I know, probably many of you listening out there have faced some sort of medical issue at some point, or a loved one has faced some sort of medical issue where, the unknown is what's frightening. Is it something, or is it nothing? Is it benign, or is it, the dreaded C word? Is it cancer? Oh my gosh, could I possibly have lung cancer? All these things were going through my head in a never-ending reel. And it wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. Now, folks, I have mentioned that I live with PTSD. And in the midst, with that comes anxiety and depression at times. And when you have something big happening in your life, those feelings are a little heightened. And so I felt like I was working double time to keep anxiety and depression in check. Then you throw in fear, and that just stirs the pot, folks. That's the big old wooden spoon stirring the pot. And I will be very honest. I will be very honest. For a couple weeks, a good solid couple weeks, it was a bit tough mentally. And, I got through it, obviously, but it was a bit tough mentally. And I was realizing that, as I say to people, armor up, let fear bounce. I realized I forgot to put my own armor on. I wasn't letting fear bounce. I was letting it land on me and cling to me like this dirty, slimy black sludge. And it started to weigh me down. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. It's not fun to be in that dark spot. And I know you know that. Whoever might be listening to this and it's hitting you in just the right way, I know you know that. It's not fun being in that dark spot. To be honest, there were a few days where I was literally filled with fear. The thought of having a part of my lung removed, not knowing the outcome, overthinking it, looking up things, Googling everything, finding out all, what could it be, or what would the repercussions be, or what would recovery be, and what's the surgery like? I'm one of those people, folks. Yeah, I am a Googler. I look up everything, and doctors have even said, and they've probably said to you too, please don't Google stuff. Please don't look things up. I'm one of those ones who does. And of course, that just lets more fear in, at least for me, it did. It let a little more fear in, I will be very honest. But the thought of having, a part of my lung removed and not knowing the outcome, it was a bit overwhelming. And it's in moments like those when that fear creeps in, that, dark, slimy fear just slithering in. That's when, for me, I found through this experience that it was tough to let my faith be stronger than my fear. And I had to tell myself daily, out loud, because that's how I do it, to convince myself. I have to say things out loud and with conviction so I can, believe my own self. I had to say, Kim, faith over fear, faith over fear. You have no control of this. So fear is doing you no good. You can't control it. Faith over fear. That was tough, folks. I'll be really honest. That was very tough. It was tough. I had to keep reminding myself also, Kim, you do have faith. You've got strong faith. And even in other dark times, your faith has come forth. Your faith has been stronger. And so it was that little thing in those little short moments that I was able to remember that I do have a strong faith. That's what carried me through this. That and my own little nugget of hope that I carry around with me. Yeah, folks, I gave myself one of those little stones with the word hope engraved on it. I gave myself one. And it's funny because I'm usually the one handing them out. I hand those little nuggets out, hoping to be a pinprick of light for someone else who might be facing something difficult. And as silly as it was, I hadn't thought, give myself a nugget of hope. Gosh, Kim, why didn't I think of that? We can freely give hope and kind words to others. And I love doing that. I truly enjoy doing that, giving hopeful words and kind words to others. But when it comes to ourselves, why is it so hard? Or why does it seem as if it's an afterthought? Like we shouldn't come first, our own selves. Goodness gracious. Now, there's 3 reasons I'm going to share, and there's way more than 3, but here's 3 I'm going to share with you why I think it's important to be kind to ourselves. And then, I'm working real hard to follow my own advice. Being kind to yourself, it's good for your mental health and your self-esteem. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to give yourself positive reinforcement. You have to practice self-kindness. When you practice self-kindness, you're building a more positive self-image and you boost your self-esteem. Treat yourself with kindness and compassion. That's going to help counteract the negative self-talk, that self-criticism. And hopefully it'll reduce the risk of developing a mental health issue or exacerbating something that you might live with already, such as depression or anxiety. You got to nurture your mental health, folks, so you can be more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Remember your faith. If you're a person of faith, remember your faith. Faith over fear. I struggled with that. People say, oh, well, you're a Christian and your life should be perfect and blah, blah, blah. Uh, I've heard that a few times over my life. There is nothing in a Christian's life that's perfect. As a matter of fact, the road's bumpy. The road is bumpy because you feel like you're being tested from all sides all the time, sometimes, all the time. Having lung surgery, to me, that was a test. I didn't look at that as something like, oh, what did I do to deserve this, or woe is me. I never play the woe is me card. I don't recall any time in my life playing the woe is me. Why me? Why me? The question is, and I'm sure you've all heard it before too, why not me? I am not so special that nothing should ever happen to, and neither are you. Now, that sounds kind of harsh, doesn't it? But it's true. Life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. All right, on to the next one, shall we? The second one, reduce stress if you're able to. Being kind to yourself can significantly reduce stress, because when you're self-critical or you're overly demanding of yourself, stress and anxiety will increase. Self-kindness, you're acknowledging your imperfections and giving yourself permission to make mistakes. So give yourself permission. When you make a mistake, say, okay, yeah, let's just continue on. Made a mistake. Let's fix it. Do better next time. Keep moving. Keep on keeping on, folks. Stress is everywhere. And it's just like fear. If you let it land on you, stressing out over something or worrying over something never extended your life, never made anything better. Stress and worry. The only thing it does is hurt your own self, your mental health, and your physical health. So try practicing stress reduction in whatever way you can, whether you're getting outside to walk your dog or play with your kids, or you take a half an hour every evening to read a good book, or you get up a half hour earlier to just sit outside and drink a cup of coffee. Whatever it is, even if it's just taking 10 or 15 minutes a day, just for you to breathe. Just breathe. Don't think about what all you have to do. Don't be worrying. Don't be stressing. Clear your mind for 10 to 15 minutes a day. If that's where you need to start, then start there. But start. Please start. You will feel better for it. And self-kindness also positively impacts your relationships with your friends, your family, and with yourself, folks. Because yes, you do. You have a relationship with your own self. So be kind. Be kind to yourself. When you treat yourself with kindness and self-compassion, you tend to extend those qualities to others as well. You become more empathetic, more understanding, more patient. Boy, that's one I struggle with, folks. I don't know about you, but you can become more patient, and that strengthens your connections with friends, family, colleagues, your spouse, whatever the case may be. Now, isn't that a good thing? I think it is. Treat yourself with self-kindness, and it'll positively impact your relationship with others, because you're going to see them in a different light. You're going to want to treat others with kindness. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And folks, self-kindness, it's vital. It's vital for your mental health, stress management, and building healthier relationships. It sets a foundation for personal growth and a more fulfilling life. Yeah, fulfilling life. How awesome is that? So what about this faith thing I was talking about earlier? Yeah, let's get back onto the faith thing, huh? Faith, it's a powerful thing, and it should never be discounted. Now, it's not about the absence. Faith is not about the absence, at least my faith. Let me make that clear. I'm talking about my own self here. My faith is not about the absence of fear, but it's about believing that no matter what happens, I am never alone. I found myself saying that out loud. Faith over fear, Kim. Faith over fear. And it helped in those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have lung surgery. Ugh, what's it going to be like? What's the recovery going to be like? Are they going to find something? Is it going to be cancer? My mind was a swirl. You might have been there at some point in your life as well, but my mind was a swirl. So I found myself saying out loud, faith over fear, Kim, faith over fear. And it did help. Maybe it didn't help 24/7, but it helped in those moments. And in those moments, it was enough to keep me going. And I had to say it out loud with conviction. Because if I don't say things out loud with conviction, then I won't believe it my own self. So believing in it, even when it's hard to do so, believe in it. Faith over fear. I also found strength in the support of my family and friends, and actually even a few people I don't know who prayed for me. And it's incredible how people come together in times. I don't think it's incredible. I don't think that's the right word I want to use. It's beautiful. That's what I want to say. It's beautiful when people come together in tough times. And it's a testament to the goodness that exists in the world. Because I think with everything that floats around in the media and on the radio and whatever you're reading or hearing or listening to that's negative, get rid of that, folks. First off, just get rid of all that negative crap. You don't need it. But when you have, this support of people who care, and maybe, people that some strangers that will pray for you or whatever it is that they want to do for you in kindness, that's a testament to the goodness that does exist in the world, because it does exist. So while fear was creeping in, I had to work at it, but I didn't let it consume me. Instead, I chose to focus on faith, the belief that the medical team is going to do their best during surgery, that the outcome was going to be positive, that this was not going to be cancer. But even if the outcome wasn't positive, I had to convince myself that going through this was all part of a bigger plan. That's part of, where faith comes in, where you want to question, you want to argue, you want to yell at God, actually. I'll be honest. You want to yell at him. You want to be angry with him. But he gets that. He understands it because he knows you. And he knows exactly what it is you need when you need it. Now I'm sharing this because I want anyone out there feeling scared or alone or fearful. You're facing something big in your life. Or maybe a loved one's facing a big challenge and you feel helpless. You just don't know what to do. It's okay to be afraid, but don't let it overpower your faith. Don't let it overpower you. Don't let it cover you. Face your fear. Acknowledge it. That's what I do. I'm like, all right, yeah, I actually am pretty darn afraid. And I don't fear much, folks. I honestly don't. But this one put me through the ringer a little bit. And I know that so many people every day face big things. And fear is probably riding right along with it. Face your fear, acknowledge it, but don't let it hang around. Don't let it hang around. Lean on your faith, your loved ones, your friends, because there is support around you. And I know, folks, I personally know from my own experience, there are times in life where, yeah, you've got friends, you've got family, you've got colleagues, you've got people at church if you attend church, but something big might be happening. You feel like all of a sudden you're in a bubble and you're completely on your own. Completely on your own. But you never are. Not truly. And I know that's a tough one to wrap your brain around at times. At least for me. Now remember, folks, everything I'm sharing today is from my own personal perspective. So here I am now, several weeks post-surgery. Pretty much sitting around in my recliner for the most part, a bit weary, a bit tired, pretty darn sore, stiff. But I'm determined to ride through the next part of this little journey. Recovery. Ugh. It's a word we often underestimate until we are the ones going through something big, huh? Now, the surgery, case you're wondering. It went well. And praise God. Yeah, that's me. I got my hands in the air, folks. Hands in the air, praising God. Because all questionable areas that were determined that were removed, I'm sorry, all questionable areas and nuggets that were removed were benign. So no cancer. No cancer, which is awesome. And that does deserve a praise. And what follows is a path that, geez, I hadn't quite anticipated this recovery thing. It was kind of a big surgery. And I had to shut my brain down actually prior to surgery. I just had to shut it down. I'm like, Kim, just quit thinking of what the surgery entails and how you may or may not feel afterwards and how long this recovery is going to be. I had to shut my brain off. I had to flick that switch so I could just go in there and get it done. And I'm not going to go into details, folks, but I will tell you, right prior to surgery, I started having problems with the medication that they gave me prior to surgery. And then after surgery, I was quite ill. And so, the whole process from beginning to end was kind of bumpy. But I'm not complaining. I got through it. And here I am a few weeks outside of it, sitting here chatting with you all. But, the whole path of recovery, I wasn't sure what to anticipate. The pain, the tiredness, the soreness, the stiffness. I had an allergic reaction to the chloroprep. So I had this massive rash that just covered one whole side of my torso. It's been a struggle. I was like, well, you know what? Holy cow. The surgery and post-surgery recovery, not for the faint of heart. Not for the faint of heart. But I'm one of those people who it's like, all right, I tell myself, suck it up, buttercup. You don't have a choice in this. You're getting through it. You don't have a choice. Get through it. Again, faith over fear. Faith over fear. But at times when you have a day that you just got pain and you're just laying there and you literally just want to groan out loud. Sadness creeps in. Depression might start creeping in, and I can see it. I can feel it. I can feel it slithering in under the back door. I mean, no. Please don't come in. Please, I'm not inviting you in. Don't be slithering under my back door. But, I look around, and this is just me being a whiny baby. Look around, and I'm seeing all the things that I cannot do, and I don't know how long it's going to be before I can do them. I can't take my daily walks with my dog. Now, any of you have listened to me before, you know how important that is, and I do it every day. We take long walks, me and Dexter, long walks every single day, no matter what the weather. I couldn't even go up and down stairs without wincing in pain. Couldn't carry anything. Couldn't stand for very long. At times, breathing hurt. Couldn't twist or turn. I couldn't shower on my own. Couldn't wash my hair. Really hard to get dressed. Really hard to get in and out of the recliner that I've been living in for weeks. This whole recovery thing, you don't realize how much you take for granted until you can't do all of the stuff that you normally do, just your regular day-to-day stuff. And that feels like I can go on and on with this list of things I couldn't do and just, woe is me. And then I'm like, oh, Kim, quit being such a whiny baby. Look at everything you still can do. This too shall pass. It's just going to take a while. Recovery is going to last a little bit. It's just going to last a little bit. So you got to keep on keeping on. So quit being a whiny baby. Faith over fear. And the big one. I'm whining that I can't get dressed easily, or I couldn't take a shower on my own for that first week, or I can't go up and down stairs, or I can't carry or lift anything. I'm sitting here in my brain, in myself whining like a baby, and I'm forgetting something. I don't have lung cancer. That should override all of the discomfort that I'm going through right now. And that I've been going through for the last few weeks. Hey, today I can tell you, I am so much better, feeling so much better. And yes, folks, I can go up and down stairs now, and I can walk my dog. Still slow going. It's a slow go, but we're still walking, not as far and not as fast, but we are out there walking. I can drive again. I can lift things, not heavy things. It's not like I can, pick up a 50-pound bag of dog food and toss it on my shoulder like I did just, a few weeks ago, but I can lift things. So each day is just a little bit better. And each day I have to remind myself when I find myself whining to myself, like, oh, I still can't do that. Oh, I still can't do that. I have to remind myself, Kim, faith over fear, and you don't have lung cancer. That's the most important thing, isn't it? And as one who lives with PTSD, for me, like I said earlier, I had some days it was pretty tough mentally. I will be very honest. And movement and being outside and taking long walks with my dog are a huge part of my peace. And being unable to do those things, I will be very honest, it was pretty rough a few days. It was pretty tough mentally. I had to practice patience. And I got to tell you, patience is not one of my strong suits. And there were days where it felt like there was just a little bit of a storm brewing inside me because of my impatience. I'm like, I want this healing process to be done. I want my life back. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, Kim, listen to you. Because my impatience was doing nothing but breeding frustration, which can lead to despair, and despair can lead to depression and all kinds of other dark stuff that can creep in. Faith over fear, Kim. So I had to remind myself, and that carried me through. That carried me through pre-surgery. That carried me through the surgery. It carried me through post-surgery. And I remind myself, Kim, you had a big surgery and it takes time to heal. And it's a process. It's not an event. It's a process. So my body's repairing itself and I have to trust that process and trust in my faith. So I found solace in little victories, like that first pain-free day. Now it might be still stiff and sore, but no pain. So that first pain-free day, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't hurt. That first time taking a shower on my own. Holy cow, look at you, Kim, go. You're a big girl now. You can take your own shower. Yay. First time going up the stairs. Woohoo. Another big moment for me. I'd laugh, say, Kim, look at you. You're a big girl. You can do stairs. The simple things that we all take for granted when you're not able to do them can be kind of depressing. So I was celebrating those little victories as they came along. And when impatience tried to consume me, I remembered that I had given myself a little nugget of hope, my own little nugget of hope that I was carrying around, or I'd keep it on the table beside my chair. So that was my own little symbol of hope. Yeah, those little nuggets of hope that I hand out to people and wish them a blessed day. I had to remember that I had my own. It was a reminder that even in the darkness, those little dark moments that creeped in during this recovery process, my little nugget of hope was shining. So to anybody out there facing a long and challenging recovery, please know that you're not alone. Whatever your case may be, whether it's surgery, maybe you're going through divorce, maybe you are in the grieving process for something. It's not a fast thing. It's not an event. It's a process. And you have to go through it. Remember, you're not alone. Don't let yourself convince yourself that you're alone. It's okay to feel the pain and the sadness and the impatience. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel the fear of the unknown. But what's not okay is to let it stick around for too long, or to let any of those things define you or your life. Trust the healing process in whatever way you're healing, physical, mental, going through grief, whatever way that you're healing. Trust the process, because in time, little things will happen that are positive and you'll start to feel better. Maybe not completely. I'm certainly not going to say that because I don't know your life or what it is that any of you may be going through. So accept those little victories and celebrate them. And then remind yourself, okay, yeah, that was a victory. I'm on my road to wholeness once again. It's just taken a little longer than I thought. So if you were to share something with someone else, what are some things that you would share with someone going through a tough time? Something that would help them stay on the right path, to not fall into darkness, to not fall into depression. What can you think of right now that you could do to be a nugget of hope for someone else? Everybody knows somebody going through something, whether it's yourself, might be yourself going through something. But what about your neighbor? Maybe you have a family member, maybe you have a friend or a colleague that's going through something. And it's pretty tough. And maybe they're not talking about it. Reach out, check on them. Just check on them. See if they need anything. Or just, send them a card, literally a card in the mail. Yeah, use snail mail, folks. It actually, when you receive something in the mail, it just feels, I don't know. Someone took the time to write out something, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it and mail it. It took time and effort. And that means something. Give them a call, text somebody, ask somebody for coffee, see if there's anything you can do. We all know someone who's going through something, and it might even be yourself that's going through something. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, because you never know what someone else is going through. And I know that sounds so trite sometimes, but it's so true. We never know what someone's going through, what battle somebody might be fighting behind that smile that they put on every day when they walk out their door. They're all put together, or they seem all put together all the time, or they seem like, wow, that person's really, really strong. You have no idea what might be going on in their brain. You have no idea the sleepless nights they might be going through. You have no idea what any one person is going through. So be kind. It doesn't cost a dime. I want to thank all of you folks for listening to me ramble, because it was just me today. No special guest. It's just me, myself, and I, the three of us. The three of us here chit-chatting and sharing just a little bit. Now, I felt pretty strong that I needed to share my own story today, my recent story, because I think somebody out there needed to hear it. I think somebody out there needed to hear it. So thanks for tuning in, folks. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Actually, I hope you feel blessed, and I hope you are blessed by something or someone. And I hope that you yourself can be a blessing to somebody else. Because remember, folks, be kind. It doesn't cost you a dime. And it only takes a little bit of your time. Look at me making up a rhyme. Unintentional rhyme, but there you have it. All right, I'm signing off now. Kim Langling, your host of Let Fear Bounce. Everybody be well, stay well, and be blessed. Have you asked yourself who's going to take care of your pet should something happen to you? Well, I've got an answer for you. The Do-It-Yourself Pet Estate Will Kit that gives you peace of mind that your family pet will be cared for when you are no longer physically able to care for them, with easy step-by-step instructions that guide you through the task of completing forms necessary to add your furry loved one to your existing will. Visit KimLanglingAuthor.com to find out more. That wraps up another episode of Let Fear Bounce, folks. Thanks so much for spending a small part of your day with myself and my special guests. I am blessed week by week by the people that I have on my show. I'm also blessed by you for tuning in and listening. And if you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can go to my website at kimlanglingauthor.com and check out everything else I'm doing. I like to keep myself busy. And until next week, folks, everybody be well, stay well, and be blessed. And don't forget, you are amazing.